All right, welcome back. We've made a switch in the studio. The guys, the representatives from the foundation have left, and I have the pleasure of having Joseph Mukuzi and Alfred Okoligwe. I mean, no better time to have these guys in the studio to talk about the league and to talk about the 2018 African Nations Championship. But guys, let me welcome you first. That's the proper thing to do. Don't stretch your hand, Alfred. But let me welcome you guys. Let me welcome you guys today. It's nice having you here.
It's a pleasure. I'm excited as it is being here this Friday.
All right. Let's talk about, before we talk about football, let's talk about the progress we seem to be making football administration on the continent. Good news today, talking about Nigerians getting, I don't want to use the word juicy, but, permit me if I can, making inroads into CAF. And some have accused Nigeria of not playing the politics of the football well in times past. But all that has changed. Now you have Nigerians in key positions, sensitive positions. And today we're talking about Adamu and Mustapha, getting. But let me allow Alfred talk first. How did that news?
Two key positions. AU Mustapha, the CAF Appeals Committee, named as member.
And
Samson Adamu, Director of Competitions. That's a big one. Like, if you've been to CAF tournaments, CAF events, you go there, you find people from elsewhere. Like, there was one I attended in South Africa, and you look at the guys who run, behind the scenes, who run all of the things that, that happen in CAF, and you ask yourself, how come we don't have the numbers here? I recall talking to somebody in CAF. I'm one of the executives, I think from Mali. We were just talking. He said, hey, and the problem with Nigeria is that each time somebody is making progress in CAF, somehow Nigeria finds a way of
pulling the person
out, and you start all over. And each time,
pressing the destruct button.
Yes, but I think credit should go to the present board of Nigerian Football Federation. They've shown that with proper planning and consistency, they can actually deliver, and that they've been doing in very great strides. Okay. No wonder it's reflecting on our football, both on the pitch and outside, the pitch. So a good one for all of us. Congratulations to Nigerian Football Federation.
All right.
And I hope that many more people can just find their way into the management of football on the continent.
All right. That's Alfred there, becoming an Oliver Twist. Okay. All right. Let's listen to the LFF president, Pinnick, talking about this events, talking about two Nigerians getting on the CAF board with some new appointments. So let's listen to him. I'll be back for more on Sports Tonight.
I'm happy to announce that Samson Adamu, has been appointed as the substantive director of competitions in CAF. Football is all about competitions, so you should know how sensitive and critical that position is. Again, we also have the president of the appeals board. Appeals board is a very, very strong committee. For you to be elected the president of an appeals board, you are the final arbiter when it comes to any form of football legislation, football adjudication. It's a very critical position, and it's a position that is there for the next 4 years. And I'm happy with all these things. Within 10 months, we've been able to achieve this. I would say that it's not just me, it's members of the executive committee that believe in my vision and mission in trying to get Nigeria to be globally and generally accepted.
All right, and obviously excited, NFF President Pinnick talking about those two appointments for Abdulkarim Mustapha and Samson Adamu. That's just joined CAF. All right, Joseph, let's talk about the big one. The journey so far. You've been here a couple of times. You've talked about, the progress of the Home Eagles. But let me quickly ask you what you expect for the final. Now we know that Kichukwu Ezewa is not going to be in goal. And a couple of players too probably will be missing.
Yeah, I think we've done quite well. We have to give credit to these young lads because we never really expected them to do much. We had so many concerns, distractions, and concerns about the way the preparation went. Even some of the players, we had reservations about them as well. But these guys have steadily grown. Through the competition, they started slowly. Just typical of a team, just like in 1990. first lost game 5-1, you know, and we didn't lose the first game anyway, you know, but from then we've grown in terms of stature, quality of play, you know, and you can see that these guys have really obeyed instructions, you know, that the coaches have been giving them. And especially in terms of their boldness, you know, that their ability to want to go, even when they are up by, you know, 2 goals up or a goal up, they always want to push harder to ensure that they get more goals. And over time, you know, we've seen that indeed this is a team that, you know, has grown in stature and wants to win this competition.
All right, let's quickly get some other perspectives talking about the 2018 African Nations Championship. Maher Mezai joins us now. Good evening. It's nice to have you join us. Let's quickly have your say talking about the 2018 African Nations Championship. Your impression about this tournament for players plying their trade in the domestic leagues.
I think overall it's been a positive tournament, especially when you consider the reasons why this tournament was created. One of the big reasons was that so these local players playing in our leagues could perhaps they could have a bigger stage to show their capacities, and maybe European clubs could maybe take a look at them or other clubs here in Africa. And we've seen a number of transfers take place during the tournament, before the tournament, and we've seen a lot of players who we hadn't known before make a name for themselves. And top of the list is Ayoub El Kabi, the Moroccan striker, who has 8 goals now. He's about to set a record for the most goals scored in a CAF competition. This was a player that was playing amateur football 2-3 years ago, so that's case in point.
All right, let's go about the standard of the tournament. You know, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this tournament? Although there are 2 more matches to be played, but the ones you've seen so far, how would you rate this tournament?
Yeah, I think I'd really give Morocco, credit for hosting it. I mean, we've been happy with the stadiums. There haven't been many problems with the pitches as there were at the actual Cup of Nations in Gabon. The refereeing has been to a good standard, and I think even the quality of play has been quite good. So I'd give it a solid maybe 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's talk about the 2 matches left to be played. Sudan, Libya, 3rd place. And forgive us if we're a little sentimental about the final, Nigeria and the host Morocco. But talk about those 2 matches and where you think the pendulum will swing.
Yeah, well, I think these are 4 countries that have very strong domestic leagues, so it isn't a surprise to see them, play these final 2 matches of the tournament. Libya, who brought in a new coach before the tournament started, Omar El Melyarmi. He's a domestic coach. This is a team that is very similar to their actual national team. And in that sense, it's very much like Egypt or Tunisia, where the domestic players make up much of the national team. And I think that's their strength. Libya is also a side that hasn't been able to play many of their matches on home soil because of the conflict back home. So they'll have extra motivation going into this match. But Sudan, I think, were probably surprised a lot of people in beating Zambia. I think Zambia were one of the sides that people expected to do very, very well with, especially with the likes of, Augustine Mulenga, Lazarus Kambole, a few of these other players. They looked very impressive in attack. So I think that's going to be a tight match, but I think Libya might take it. And in the final, of course, you have the host Morocco against the mighty Super Eagles. I believe the home advantage is going to be crucial here. I think Morocco are very good across the board, from their defense to the midfield to the attack. They have no weaknesses in this side. And I think what's going to in Casablanca.
Okay, let's talk about your country now. Before we even do that, let's talk about Riyad Mahrez. A lot of people say Leicester City have not been fair to the young man. He's been a professional. He's played when he's been expected to. But, most of the time he gets promised, we'll let you go. When the time comes, they don't let him go. So do you think all of this is going to affect the player? Do you think his performances might begin to dip?
It's very, very possible. I mean, he's already missed 3 training sessions and a match. So obviously his form has already begun to dip already. There are reports from his close entourage saying that Mahrez has been depressed now. And you can't imagine how, if he's human like the rest of us are, how that wouldn't affect his performance on the pitch. So I think Claude Puel is aware of that, the Leicester City manager. And I think he's very wise today during his press conference when he said the most important thing is to put a smile back on his face and get him to enjoy his football once more. So I think Leicester are taking the calm and the professional approach here. They're going to let Mahrez sort of sulk and throw his toys out of the pram. But when it's time for him to, I think starting next week, they're going to sort of integrate him back in the group and make sure he's smiling again on the pitch.
All right, before we let you go, let's talk about the national team of Algeria. Failed to qualify for the World Cup. No thanks to Nigeria anyway. But, you know, failed to qualify. And some sort of reorganization going on right now. So what lies ahead for the Desert Foxes? What do you think lies ahead for the national team? Do you see them getting to that level they were maybe at Algiers 90, at the World Cup in 82? Do you see them hitting that kind of level again?
It's going to take some work. What's ahead for Algeria? Well, there's been a lot of changes at the federation level. We have a new president of the federation. We have a new coach, Rabah Hamajir, who was, of course, the African Player of the Year, I believe, in 1987. So there's a lot of new federation. The federation apparently is going to take more of an approach of trying to groom players, domestic players coming out of Algeria, instead of relying on the diaspora. For example, Algerian players born in France. But what's directly ahead of us is there's going to be friendly matches against the likes of Iran, against the likes of Gabon. And that's just going to be, I think most of it is going to be sparring partners for teams that are going to the World Cup. And then we're going to look ahead to the 2019 Cup of Nations, where Algeria has actually made an encouraging start. They've beaten Togo, and they still have Benin and the Gambia in their group. I think they're heavy favorites.
Okay, I think, all right. Maha, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. Hopefully we get to do this again some other time. Thank you very much. Okay, a lot of insights right there, but let's continue with our conversation on this hand. Let's pick it from some of the things he said about the Nations Cup. Alfred, your thoughts? The Eagles squad, some would say, depleted with injuries. The only area you probably won't want to worry about is the goalkeeping department, because the semi-final has shown us that it seems that we have a capable replacement. Good cover. But in other areas, confident.
No, generally, I think that his rating of this competition in terms of the quality of play, 8/5, I think it's a bit too
high,
magnanimous.
Generous.
Seems very, very generous. I've seen some of the games. It just shows you there's a gulf in difference in terms of quality. The real Nations Cup, as it were, where the A guys, the big boys will come in, and what we have on the African continent. But having said that, I think if a competition like Chan had not been created, these guys wouldn't have had the opportunity of playing competition, playing a big tournament like this. And to that extent, I want to give them
the organizers.
The organizers a real big plus. However, the best players on the continent I want to maintain are not playing this competition. Case in point, Junior Ajayi was nominated as one of the Africa's team of
11.
Africa 11. He's not in this tournament because he plays in Egypt. If it had been a situation where players who play on the continent, irrespective of the league, then would have had guys, perhaps a stronger competition or a more competitive competition would have come to fore. But as it is, perhaps maybe for the domestic leagues of various countries, it will go. May I talked about the Moroccan team having a complete team. No division. Of course, the home advantage will count. Hey, you played against the Eagles. I know that nobody will give the Super Eagles a chance playing against the Moroccans in the final. I mean, the eyes of the watching world will look at the Moroccan team that have been very, very dominant from the off. And just the feeling will be that, okay, because you have perhaps a packed stadium, fans, supporting, they might just have the luck of the green. But you never can bet against the Super Eagles team. They've shown time and again that, yes, they might not be playing that kind of sweet, sexy football that you want to see. But somehow they find a way of getting the job done.
All right. And Joseph, we're about to go on a break, but quickly, you don't seem to be scared of the Moroccans.
Certainly not. I do believe that our boys have been growing, in the course of the competition. And if you really look at it, they don't have much to lose. I mean, with what they've done so far, so many Nigerians will say they've done very, very well, considering the rating before
even
this
getting
competition
to this level,
to the final. And all they just need to do, much of what will happen tomorrow is if they are able, on Sunday, if they really prep them up properly. I believe we have the talent on the field to get the job done. But when you are playing a North African side, You know, you're playing and away match, they are at home. You can expect a lot of factors to come into play. You're playing against the fans. You're playing
probably
against
the referee.
The referee
probably,
as well. You know,
probably.
All 50-50 chances, you know, 50-50 tackles, you don't expect it to go your way. So if they're able to, if they prep them well, very
Don't
well,
let your head get
psychologically,
down.
you know, get ready. I do believe that they have what it takes to be able to get a good result.
All right. So Alfred and Joseph on the same page, talking about the Super Eagles. Hopefully, we'll get it right on Sunday. Hopefully, we'll come back with a trophy. Who says we can't do that? All right, let's go on a break. When we return, we'll be talking about, take some reactions from the Super Eagles and also taking a look at the Nigeria Professional Football League. Join us again.